Welcome to the Marketplace. I'm Anthony Wakes, and we continue our series on the scenes of Miami. Yesterday, we had an opportunity to really congregate with the investment community, and the issue at hand was the growing pains of the infrastructure of Miami. Now, when we think of a place like Miami, Miami is part of the South Florida landscape. Miami is growing by leaps and bounds. If the last estimate, if I'm not mistaken, the population of South Florida was around 6 million people. And it's a great problem to have. Obviously, when your growth potential is far exceeding your infrastructure, and you now have to make the necessary investment for new hospitals, new airports, new highways, byways, waterways, transit systems, you name it, waste treatment plants, ports, you name it. The issue of, is the academia community, is there adequate infrastructure for that community as well? And today I have the opportunity of really spending some time with someone who certainly is an authority, an expert in that area. And I'm in the office right now with Dr. John Seitz. He is the Vice Chancellor of Academic Affairs here at Keiser University. Dr. Seitz, thank you so much for agreeing to be part of this
Glad
show.
to be here, Mr. Weeks. Thank you very much.
The marketplace, we tend to, when you think of the marketplace, you think of literally people, places, and the basic supply and demand, no matter what that is,
Right.
whether it's the public or private sector, there is always a marketplace.
Right.
And when you think of education, education is no exception. There is the marketplace as well. And in continuing our series on taking a look at what it means to be part of this vibrant community, this growing community, your role as an administrator and as an education expert, how would you describe the landscape or the infrastructure as people are trying to decide, our viewers are trying to decide, they're trying to plan their lives, whether for the immediate, midterm, or long term, and they are trying to figure out, where do I go to school, in terms of where do I pursue my undergrad to where do I pursue my graduate. Give us a sense, give us some insight as to what's happening in terms of the infrastructure situation here in South Florida.
Well, I'm reminded of the old adage that I've heard as long as I've lived in Florida, that South Florida is the financial capital for South America, the Caribbean, and the Southern Hemisphere, at least where the Southern Western Hemispheres come together. And I think it's not only the financial capital, but it certainly is one of the educational centers of the United States. If you look at the Latin American population and how it relates to the United States, it relates primarily to three states: Florida, Texas, and California. And all three of those states have benefited from the close ties that those states have developed with the Central America, and with the Caribbean, and with South America. As a result, Florida has an extraordinarily rich educational environment in South and Southeast Florida. Rich in terms of the institutions. You've got several major public universities in the area, primarily Florida International and Florida Atlantic University. You've got a major private university which has made extraordinary contributions to health research and health service through the University of Miami. You've got probably 8 to 10 very distinctive private universities in South Florida, between Palm Beach, Broward, and Miami. And you even have now one new burgeoning university in Naples, over on the southwest side, and Ave Maria University, which is a new Catholic institution. Plus you've got Dade Community College, which is how we all think about it, even though it's now a state college, which is one of the preeminent internationally oriented community colleges. I'm going to use that term because of the complexity and the size and the impact that Miami-Dade has had on the South Florida community. But Broward College has been equally energetic in its own, within the context of its service. And Palm Beach State in Palm Beach County has been probably less important, only because there are fewer people in Palm Beach County than there are in Broward, Miami. But if you put all those things together, if you put all those institutions, you're looking at an incredibly rich and very diverse educational community that not only has the traditional trappings and programs that you would expect in most major educational regions of the United States, but it also has a lot of specializations that focus on the close relationships that these institutions and the geography of South Florida has with the Caribbean and the Latin American community. So it's, as we look to the future and the globalization that's going to continue to take place throughout this century, Southeast Florida in particular, but South Florida in general, is very well positioned to respond to the educational needs of the Western Hemisphere, and particularly that part that is in the South. And I think, given the general impression that the United States probably, as a collective educational community, provides arguably the best higher education in the world, and if that is the case, and I believe that it is, and that's not to denigrate any other country or any other set of institutions, but I'm talking simply collectively, then this Southeast Florida area presents an incredibly rich and diverse set of educational opportunities for students wherever those students may be located. And one of the things we're seeing is an increase in the number of international students, not just from Latin America, but Kaiser University, which has a residential campus in West Palm Beach, and Lynn University, which is in Boca Raton. Both of those institutions have very significant numbers of students from Latin America and from other parts of the world, and particularly Europe. One of the things I'm surprised at is the number of students who are getting from Europe who are coming to the United States, not only to get an American education, but as sporting activities have become more diverse and more people around the world are playing all of the sports, the students in other parts of the world who want to play competitively at the college level are coming to the United States because the collegiate sports world is so well developed here that they can keep right on playing right from their secondary school right on through college. It's actually one of those hidden developments that is taking place in American higher education that you begin to see when you look at the NCAA basketball finals, and we have European basketball players and African basketball players. It's what I call the internationalization of intercollegiate athletics in America.
Absolutely.
But I think South Florida is a fantastic place, both to work as an educator, and it's a great place for students to pursue collegiate education because it guarantees, whatever institution you attend, that you're going to have a reasonable number of people from other locations. And as we look at the globalization of the world, one of the things that college students need to experience is the opportunity to sit down and talk and eat and socialize with people from other cultures and with people who are different from themselves. As I was telling you earlier, once upon a time in my life, I was president of the University of Dubai, the American University of Dubai. And I saw firsthand what happens when college students from different countries, different faiths, different ethnic backgrounds, come together in a classroom, have lunch together, eat together, play together, socialize together. I watched all of these trappings, the nationalized trappings, the religious trappings, cultural differences, the language problems, all those things over time gradually fade away, and students begin to see that each of them is a human being much like themselves. And if we could do that, if we could get the college population of the world, this would be my dream. If I could make this happen, I would have every college student globally spend at least one full year in another culture, going to college, and experiencing what happens when you are out of your comfort zone and you're eating foods that are different, experiencing values and ideas that are different, and learning. The great lesson in this is that we are all more alike than we are different.
So, when you think of the issue of globalization, and globalization by virtue of, you're talking about, you encompass the world, and when you think of the rich multicultural composition of South Florida, you're saying it is a natural fit,
Sure.
or for folks coming from the various part of the world. It's an international hub because it's where the world
Right.
meets in South Florida.
Right. I was reading an article the other day about the number of people that are at NYU and Columbia and University of Illinois and Arizona State and some of those larger universities which are noted for the number of international students that they have attracted. Sometimes it's controversial because some of the folks have wondered what a public university is doing educating all these students from other countries. But that's beside the point. The point is that they have to attract those students to come to those locations in order to help create a diversity. If you're in South Florida, you have the wonderful opportunity naturally to have these diverse populations because those are the people who populate the area of Florida. Over the last, as you well know, last 50 years, there's been a tremendous migration of people from Central America and Latin America and the Caribbean into the South Florida area, as well as all of the tourist and the European migrations who've come to Florida to buy condos and make investments in real estate. It's just, it's a wonderful, rich, diverse community of South Florida, and while we joke about that sometimes, and there are some folks who find that to be bothersome, I think it's an absolutely fantastic place to come to get an education, because you're not only going to get the education that you came for, but you're also going to, as a participant in this diverse culture, you're going to have the opportunity to learn to associate, study, eat, socialize with folks who are different from yourself. And I think that bodes well for the future of the students as well as for the country.
So South Florida is a magnet. Obviously, there's the natural warm climate. There's the strategic location,
Right.
of which it sits between in the Pan American region, connecting the Caribbean and Latin America. Basically, the cultural dynamic lends to the rich diversity.
Right.
And so people are going to make decisions to come in because it is a representation, a reflection
Sure, but it's
of that
also
local community.
they're also coming because of the climate. I can't tell you how many people I run into. Almost everybody I run into in South Florida sometimes says, "I was here, I was there, I was tired of being cold." Among college age, when you talk to people, they've come to Florida because they can be outside, be active all year long.
Yeah,
They don't have to go to the winter sports, and then fall they do this kind of thing, in spring they do this kind of thing. Folks can be active, playing sports, engaged in outdoor activities all year long. In fact, I had a fellow from Michigan tell me, Tom Monahan, who helped develop our university over in Naples, Florida, came down to Florida while he was starting his university in Michigan. He read a piece in the newspaper about all the athletes from Florida that are playing intercollegiate athletics. And he thought, well, it seems to me that's a natural then, as a place to start a college if you are interested in athletics. And one of the reasons why we have so many athletes that are populating all these intercollegiate teams across the country is because they practice all year long. They don't think of it as practice, but they're outdoors playing, doing